Yeah, spot on.
That's good. Oof.
Hi there, welcome to week 13 of Showing the Money, and we do have a couple of past champions just to rub it in Craig's face. We've got Sean back on and we've got Doug back on, so Craig's obviously hoping to get a ring, but all his boys have already got one. So I'll let you carry on, Craig.
Well, to be fair, Johnny, two have got multiple. Let's just throw that in there too. There's only one person here has one, but anyway.
Don't think you can be throwing too much shade there, Craig, to be honest.
Listen, when you're scraping, you know.
Speaking of
So what's
scraping,
Craig, I thought I'd take it easier and put this.
Oh. So this is where we're starting then, is it? Let's start right in at the deep end. Talk about the loss, Sean. What's going on?
Yeah, well, this one's more concerning for just, I mean, everything sort of went wrong here. I mean, Garoppolo injured, Walker injured, and Jones injured. I mean, that wasn't quite what I was hoping for, sort of 2 weeks before the playoffs. But yeah, and as for the Fields situation, I just didn't realize that he was fit. So that was bit of a kill out. To be fair, he did nothing in the second half, so I was really hoping that sort of Garoppolo might sort of, like put in an impressive game, and then it was like, oh no, he's down.
Yeah,
so,
it didn't cost you in the end. Oh, did it cost? Oh, it did cost you.
Yeah, it did. Cost us in the end.
It did, yeah. If it played him, we would have won.
Yeah, it did.
Ouch, that makes it
absolutely.
sore. Although Doug
Schoolboy error, really, but
Etienne didn't do good for Doug, but
yeah. Yeah, so I pretty bad loss.
No, my
the good news, Sean. The good news is
I got away with it.
2 losses in a row to the two gentlemen sitting here. However, you are still in the playoffs. It can now be confirmed that you are in the playoffs. You do hold a winning record against Graham, the only person who can tie you up. So win, lose, or
by
draw.
About 1.2 points, was it not?
Yeah,
I mean, a close one.
It's but it's not the sort of going into the playoffs with a lack of. It's just the case of I'd sort of hoped for a bit of a better seeding. Face one of the sort of I don't want to say weaker teams, but sort of one of the sort of I think it's fair to say there's a group of sort of super teams and a group of sort of good teams, and that's no disrespect to the good teams, but it's like So now it seems like I'm going to have to run the gauntlet a bit, which is interesting.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, here's the thing: like, if you're scraping in, at number 8, I think we're all going to be trying to play away from the number 1 seed. I'm tempted to throw this tie. If it wasn't for the divisional title, I would be throwing this on Sunday and saying, "There you go, Douglas. Good luck playing Sean in the first round." I'll take self-confessed in purgatory, Alan.
Well, is the
Craig?
Is the playoff set? On you go, Sean.
I was just going to say, I find Craig's, every single week he finds a new way to sort of try and take pressure off himself, just being like, no, there's always an excuse. It's unbelievable.
I'm
just going to downplay expectations so much that it's unbelievable.
We're feeling like sang with you, so.
Well, it's going to get worse when we flip to the next game, I tell you, because I've got my list of excuses ready already. But well, so that's where are we at?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Sean's lined up to face Chris.
Oh yeah, right enough. Chris will hold the number 1 seed, won't he?
Yeah, she seems to forget about that division.
So I would quite like. Yeah, I think.
I think Doug's winning the
watch.
Ideally,
we'd want to be
in the division.
Bottom half.
Doug's winning the watch here. If it stays
so
like
you actually
that,
want to win this week, Craig.
So let's have him paint how that's not the case.
No, well, I'll take the quarterfinal, but I don't particularly fancy being in the same half of the draw as Chris and Sean.
I would actually say that the winner of our game is going to be more. we're going to be at a disadvantage. I'll take Eskimo
know,
Brothers all day long. No offence, Sean, or nothing, but you've been blowing it for half a season now, so I'll take you all day long and let Doug go and play, Alan or Sean here or Joe. I'll take that happily.
Whatever happened to be the best, you've got to beat the best. Have we just given up on that?
Exactly, Sean. Listen, he thinks he's so good now that he's trying to position himself in the bracket. I mean, it's just startling.
There's 6 rings out of 4 people here, and I've got none of them. So you forgive me for wanting one.
No, absolutely, but jockeying for position, you'd be happy you're in there and for a change and fighting for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those ones.
Anything can happen in the playoffs. You just got to be happy to get there.
It's a funny old season this year with 1 week to go. The playoff position.
You got your bye week last week, Craig.
Well,
Grote is such a bye week, isn't he?
The worrying thing with this one, and it is quite worrying. Harris ain't setting the header on fire. We all know that. Jacobs is hurt, obviously, but Mixon's not back yet, and Joku's out. It's Harris isn't setting it up. All of a sudden, I'm looking at my backs and thinking I'm not as strong as I thought I was.
Yeah,
and meanwhile, meantime, I'm leaving Watson on the bench because I've got to play this daft Mike Evans. And Mike Evans is not doing anything.
Ben Evans, by the way.
If you put Watson in this, you can drop Evans. It's going to be another bit out.
Play Evans against me.
It's I'm just I just don't.
Jacobs
I've
will be all right.
Buyers remorse here big time. But anyway, yeah. So I got the win. That was pretty much set in stone. So it's now set up. The North Division is Douglas versus Craig in the fight in the final week to win the division. Winner takes all.
Unless one of you decides to lose.
Just the way you want to script.
Winner takes all and loser gets Eskimo Brothers in the first round of the playoffs.
I absolutely hope now that you actually lose both games. I just lose to Doug and then lose to Eskimo Brothers. That
would be brilliant.
It would be my way, Sean. It would be my
Craig
way.
Would definitely throw the toys out. The toys would be well at the pram if you did that. That'd be a bottle of vodka if it happened. Like not a bottle of Coke.
It would be normal. That's what that would be. That would be normal. But the North Division is sitting there tidy. Well, and it's one of the better divisions this year. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, it's the best division. Yeah. We've just got Grote kind of holding us back, don't we?
Well,
it's like a leg weight.
But if he was actually good, it would drag us all down. It'd be sort of like the.
Yeah, you wouldn't be getting 3 in. It would be like the South, because that's kind of what they're doing. They're beating each other up a little bit and just like this. So apart from
it definitely seems like Chris has a pretty excellent team. Yeah, well,
Chris is a problem.
You'd be worried if you didn't.
You better speak nicely about Blue Toon because there's Chris.
Yeah. I would be very disappointed.
Chris is actually watching, so you give him a wave. So. Hi, Chris.
Well, Chris, what can I say? You're
absolutely this team
into the playoffs. There is no getting away from it. But it is the number 1 seed, and that's what I'm hanging my hat on. The number 1 seeds. Always Le'Veon on a prayer, and Le'Veon on a prayer manages to blow it every single season. So.
But look at that! Look at that bench as well. I mean, didn't even play Pollard, and won by 60 points, and Pollard could have increased the score. I mean,
Smith would have increased the score.
Yeah, I mean, really, that is unbelievable. I mean, I know that obviously it changes week to week, and obviously but when do you get who?
It's a strong team.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the other thing. Justin Jefferson has got a scoosh. of our next 4 matches. He's got Detroit, it'll be high scoring, I think. He's got the Colts, which
shootout,
obviously he's got the Giants, which he'll cream all over the Giants. That's at home, and then he's got the Packers, and cream all over the Packers. So Jefferson's got a hot run in. Dalvin Cook's obviously exactly the same. Hurts has got such a high floor every single week, basically because of his legs. I mean, he's
going to run riot.
He's run 3 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. He's got the Giants, the Bears. Admittedly, the Cowboys might be an issue for him, and then the Saints. But
then I mean,
Chris, you the problem.
He's got no weak positions there. I mean, even tight end, Kempt is now sort of.
So I would quite happily take the other half of the draw, the other side of the draw. Take your chances with a harder team in the quarterfinals, and hope someone else flukes it.
The thing about these guys as well, I mean, the Philadelphia are so far ahead now. I mean, they're playing for number 1 seed. Obviously, that's fine, and maybe Minnesota are too. But if Minnesota lose a game and they're not in that anymore, they might shut Jefferson down. They might shut Cook down for the playoffs. That's got to be the worry for Chris from here on now.
Nah, I don't think so.
Maybe not shut down, but certainly
teams do that. Yeah. You don't shut down Jefferson at his age. It's not like he's needing a break.
Plus he'll be chasing. Plus he'll presumably be chasing sort of stuff like. I mean Jefferson will be chasing stuff like individual records as well, won't he? And individual awards and things. So I can't imagine he'd be particularly psyched.
Yeah. But listen,
I mean, to look at.
Go on, Doug.
No, you go, Sean.
Oh no, I was just going to say. I mean,
I was just going to say, look, haven't hit that over on delay. Go, Sean. Go.
I was just going to say about Ross. I mean, like when you look at it, when you look at his scoring there, I mean, it's not like he's done enormously. There's a couple of players who obviously didn't really produce a ton in terms of a couple of his wide receivers in his defense. But I mean, he's got some decent players there as well. You sort of do think that sort of when it comes to sort of consolation playoffs,
he'll have his eye on number 1 seed for sure.
And I mean, the bench is a sort of interesting mix of parts that could potentially do something. So I mean, I don't know. I think the consolation playoffs. We're talking very much about sort of the main event, but I mean, I think that it's going to be quite interesting in sort of both both competitions.
I think so. Yeah, I mean the consolate. It's a chase for the number 1 pick, isn't it? The number 1 pick's massive. It really is. When you're, especially with the amount of players that are out of it, if you're not in the kind of top 3 or 4 picks, you're not really getting a proper A-lister. It's then that's you into the second kind of round of you're effectively down the back end of the third of a 16-team league.
I would actually disagree with that because I think this year there's so many.
This season, has it?
Well, I mean, there's so many teams that I think it's more just a case of there's so many sort of teams that have sort of given everything away for next season, right? I mean, Chris, there's so many keeper caliber players who just aren't going to be able to be kept because you've only got 2. So I mean, like on my team, for example, I'm sort of like who is actually going to stay, and there's going to be some pretty decent players come out of your teams, with your teams as well.
That's true actually, because there are a lot of went all in and they've got a lot of the top players now, haven't they?
So I actually would say that this year the number 1 pick is perhaps less valuable than it has been in previous years, but that's not to diminish it at all. It's it's still obviously something to go for, and it's
I mean, if you look at the draft this year, it was mixing some. There was like Chase. 3 or 4. And then then you were into the kind of, the hums and haws ones, all the kind of good week, bad week ones. But you're right, Sean, it will be different this year. It will be a lot stronger. But poor Graham, he'll be playing for it, that's for sure, because I lost the Kirk Paul Raiders has ended his season prematurely.
Graham is in that absolute purgatory zone these days. He's a 75 point sort of place, and it's awful.
Well,
Anyway,
the two bits of news from Camp Purvis, the two bits of news from the golf course from Camp Purvis says Elliot's now peeing him off because he's got a decision to make again, he thinks. And he's really annoyed that nobody offered him a third for Eckler because he would have taken it.
I don't think by the end anyone had any thirds left.
I am so happy no one offered him a
I
third
bloody
for
well
Eckler.
suggested that. I suggested it to
him
earlier on, and he said no, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's because it was earlier on. Come final week.
But to be fair, I did obviously chuck in a third for Mahomes.
It's what Graham went for. He was going to pick Mike White up the week before, and he missed it, and he didn't. He left it, and he left it one more week. And of course, he went for whoever it was. He went for Ryan or Tannehill or something, who done absolutely nothing. And Mike White went off on one, so he thought he had to pick up White this week. And there you go. Maybe it was just 1 week too late.
He still got 16 points. He got more points than Rodgers. So
yeah, it's still a week too late for him though, because if we'd had him next that last week, then it might have been a different story. But hey ho,
I suppose
he's been let down badly by believing in Wilson and Sutton and whatever else, as a lot of people have. You know, I have in other leagues, but Cortland Sutton's stunk the place.
Yeah, I thought Sutton was going to have a good year this year, but it's just been pants.
It's fantasy footballers were all over the pair of them, and Judy as well. So it's but he hung on in there just too long.
Yeah, I mean, also as well, Pickens
better luck next season, Graham.
2 yards and Eckler sort of
fumble
rather than it could have easily went another way, that one, I suppose. But I mean, just in terms of Allen's slot, I don't know. I think any team that has a really good tight end is a threat just because there's so few of them. So to have Andrews could potentially be really, really useful. Maybe questions over the run
Heineke's favorite target.
But so he's
definitely in it, and White's only going to get more carries, you would think. As the weeks tick on, Fournette's not done anything of late. He's been hurt, and if White takes over,
Rashad White unfortunately is better PPR. This standard format, White's just not quite as.
So is that another one to avoid, Craig? Is that another team
not
to
PPR,
avoid?
It's not as good as TR.
Do you know that every team's a team to avoid in the playoffs? To be fair, it really is. It really is any given Sunday
Craig,
at this point, yeah. I mean, I'm not looking.
Well, apart from Craig,
he's so nervous, Sean.
And you want to play Craig.
I wasn't looking forward to playing.
He's so nervous.
He's
so nervous.
Yes, I mean, any given Sunday, but I mean, would I be worried if I looked at the team sheet and I seen that I was playing Allen and not really, no. I mean, honestly, I would say my team's better on paper, but the game's not played on paper.
Disrespect.
Actually, it is played on paper.
Well, if you want to be technical,
it's not real, Craig. This is just a game.
But then, of course, if you do it.
It's, but I mean, that
you want to go for the bottom half of the division, you still have to deal with Graham. So.
It's that obviously, it'll get harder as it goes along. But I mean, the South Division's right there. It's been competitive all year long. Obviously, Bluetoon's walked away with that a little bit now, but Ross got 5 wins in it. Graham 6, Kirkwall 8. So good division. Well played, guys. And here comes Tartan Bears. Joe's making a wee statement just before the playoffs begin.
To the east.
I thought he was falling away a little bit. Last few weeks he's been kind of on and off, but he's made a statement again this week.
I mean, some really big scores. I mean, Burrow is hitting
form
at just the right time.
Yeah.
Burrow's right there, and Ingram's finally starting to pull a couple.
And he's done it without Kamara, because Kamara's been useless.
Very true. He kept the wrong one. Imagine if he kept Barkley and got rid of Kamara.
He's got a pretty good team.
Burrow's got a difficult Burrow's got a difficult fantasy playoff schedule He's at Tampa.
Yeah, but then he could play Tua in a shootout.
So that's.
Yeah, that's tough. Again. Although if the Bills have lost. Who is it? The Bills have lost from their defense. They lost someone pretty big. With Von Miller, is he no out for the season now?
Yeah, he's out.
But yeah, it's he's got
Kamara's, is it?
Kamara can't be trusted again. But Tyreek Hill, Amon Ra is putting up some ridiculous numbers, like he did at the end of last season as well.
He's not going to stop either the way they play.
He is talented, yeah.
No, and every week.
Davies is doing plenty fine at Buffalo.
It's young.
It's kind of for me is if Kamara comes to life, then that's as good a team as any. It's in the playoffs.
Let's have a little look at the benches as well. Sorry, just because I can't remember who's on the bench for him. But
yeah, I mean it's not got much. Julio Jones is there, Logan Thomas.
So there's not necessarily an additional difference maker. I mean, it's not bad.
He might play two if Burrow's got a bad matchup.
But
it's still good.
And on the other side as well. Sorry, just to talk about Batman's lot. I mean, to score like 90-odd points and lose. I mean, that is pretty unfortunate. Like, I mean.
It's not the first week he's done it either, Sean.
He's pretty unlucky.
Ray's been very unlucky this season. He really has. I mean, he's had some bad weeks, but he's had some good weeks and lost as well. So it's a combination of the both. Just doesn't work.
He'd beaten every. He'd only lost to 3 teams with that figure this year, and obviously playing against one of them.
Yeah, that's it's.
But it's a bit unlucky, but Cam Akers is suddenly getting some touchdowns.
He's total points of the season. Yeah. He's fairly middle of the road.
Yeah, he's had some big points and lost. It's been one of those years. Hawkinson's going to do absolutely fine in the run-in. Sharp's coming to life. Akers, it looks like Akers owns the Rams backfield for all it's worth, but I mean, it's worth 18 points this week, so, no bad. Goff, very much as good a chance as any.
He's had the most points against.
Most points against, has he?
Yeah.
I was thinking
that's been a problem.
Was he overtaken, has he?
Yeah, so that's unlucky. So it's been unlucky, Ray. It's an unlucky season, so we'll give you that one. But yeah, Joe's one to look out for in the playoffs as well. Tartan Bears are another one. And talking of other ones that are to look out for in the playoffs, Clark's Flying Eagles. I mean, the good
don't want to face them either, Craig, do you?
Really don't. No. The good news is he's lost Lamar Jackson.
No, they do have the odd floor week, but usually they're over 100.
So he's what's the script with Jackson? How bad is it?
Yeah, he's going to be out a couple of weeks, as you know.
PCL.
They go on with him.
PCL 1 to 3 weeks.
1 to 3 weeks, so it's not going to be too bad. So he will get him back.
A couple of weeks. Yeah.
It's
but he's need to pick someone up. I mean, if I'm playing him the next week or two, I'm picking up every quarterback in free agency that I can.
Yeah, there is going to be a bit of a scramble because I potentially need one now as well, given that Fields is on bye week and Garoppolo is out. So
Super Brock.
Oh yeah, Sean needs one too.
I need one as well. Yeah, so it's,
race for the quarterbacks this agency. I'm going to have to go and see if I fancy picking one up. I might need a spare. You never know with her, but But
it is very much
Russell Wilson's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Graham begs you to pick him up, Sean.
Well, we get more than minus
Well, I
0.66.
guess I only need someone for 1 week, but yeah, I mean, it is going to be.
Well, Wilson plays the Chiefs this week, and the Chiefs' defense does give away points. They're involved in a lot of shootouts.
Oh,
Wilson may be the way to go.
Wilson, they can't score more than 18 points.
No, absolutely not. No,
You've basically got to. You've got to pick up Brock Purdy.
Promote your boy.
I mean,
get Purdy. Sign up Purdy.
There's Huntley. There's Purdy.
Yes, you've got to go for Purdy.
There's Mac Jones. There's Walford of the Rams. Like,
no, you got to
none
go
of them
for
are
Huntley,
exactly
enormously exciting. Last year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So.
I'm not
going to tip. I'm not going to tip where I'm going to invest the tiny remnants of my
Craig
of my budget, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it's on the other side, so
you can't take the budget with you. You might as well spend it.
Still on farts, he is looking strong everywhere. But Jackson, but quarterback now, Chubb, Sanders, Adams, Higgins, Hill, Kirk. And then you look on the bench, he's got Wilson on the bench. He's got both of Miami running back, so they can give you a headache or nothing, but they can also give you a lot. Is Beckham signed up yet?
Jeez.
I guess the only thing I would maybe
Dallas
say
he might be out until January. So.
All right.
The only thing I would maybe say with Graham is that I mean, I don't know. You look at it and I don't know. It's he's
a quarterback.
Really do as a quarterback, yeah.
If he's going to get Goddard back before the playoff, he will get Goddard back. I think he's back in a couple of weeks, something like that. So,
but Taysom Hill, you just probably keep playing him. He gets touchdowns.
Yeah, but he's boom or bust. That's the thing, If you have a bust, it's a different.
Yeah, but then 1 week he'll score 0
But that's the same with any tight end, really, apart from sort of Kelsey and Andrews, isn't it?
Yeah,
to have 2 tight ends is pretty handy.
And
even Andrews only got 5.
He's got no tight end this week coming either, as well as quarterback. Taysom Hill's on a bye.
Oh, so he's very much Graham's shopping hard.
Ooh. So yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, this is a nothing week for him. It doesn't matter. To be fair, he might not even bother.
No, it does.
No, he's got it.
It does for seeding, though, doesn't it? Yeah.
No, if he loses, he loses.
He's not won the division
because Tartan Bears have already beaten him.
He has. It's Tartan. He's got
Tartan Bears beat him.
Sorry, it's Luton. Sorry. Of course, yeah. No, they have. They've got a. So he's got to make a decision. Then they're playing each other too.
Oh, that's not ideal.
Yep.
That is not ideal.
Yeah,
and scheduled to play each other in the playoffs as well.
So that's So sorry, I take it all back. It's a big game he's got this week, so he will be shopping. And in the meantime, you've got Mark over there. Well, he's heading into the consolations, but he'll not be happy with 66.66 points. I can't imagine.
It's it's not been an ideal season.
Giving it away.
It's one of those ones for Mark. I mean, he's got some early picks for next year now. He's obviously been looking that way for a while, but Montgomery is the bell cow in Chicago. There's no getting away from that. And if Lawrence can do okay at times, his problem is kind of Robinson's doing nothing, Valdez-Scantlin's doing nothing, Zay Jones is in or out, and more often out than in. And that's where his problems lately for the last few weeks now, I would say. But when they all hit, they hit. So he's got a chance of going back in the consolations. I wouldn't rule him out.
Well, there's Graham's matchup this week. They both got players on buys this week.
So this,
There's no
he's kicker as well. He's quite going to find a kicker as well.
It'll be interesting to see who they all drop as well.
Yeah.
I mean, some vultures could definitely pounce there. Swoop in, rather, not pounce. Vultures don't pounce.
Yeah, it's they better be careful.
If you want to drop Beckham, you might as well drop him.
Yeah, well, if he's not coming playing, then
you can drop anyone.
But even then, you're not going to play Beckham even if he signs for someone, are you?
No.
You're not going to actually play him unless you've got an injury crisis.
Well, I saw a tweet earlier on saying that Dallas were possibly not because he won't be available until January.
Nah, well,
I think though when you consider they've got Lamb and Gallup and they've got the running backs.
Yeah,
Dallas don't need him. Dallas want him.
They don't.
The Giants need him.
No.
But yes, so that's so it's a massive game there next week. The North has to be decided by a last game shootout
next year.
And the East has to be decided with a last game shootout, and it's Joe versus Graham. So that should be an interesting final, and that's pretty much.
The East has to be decided. Yeah.
Yeah, the East and the North need to be decided. The South is decided, and the very next one, which is the West, is now decided thanks to Mr. Edwards.
Decided.
Mr. Edwards decided it fought in the favour of Sean and his Eskimo brothers by giving Le'Veon on a prayer a beating.
Yeah. There you go.
And it's disappointing end to the way, it's been one of those years for Michael, hasn't it? He's been in, he's been out, he's been up, he's been down, and then all of a sudden he's out, just as he's scraping back into it, he's out again. And it all came down to two zeros, really, didn't it? Knox and Benjamin.
Yeah. Yeah, Gino as well, but...
Yeah, I mean, he's...
Yeah, Knox hurt me in a couple of leagues. That's a couple of weeks in a row he's done nothing.
I guess to get almost nothing from Thielen and Godwin is probably as significant as the couple of zeros. I mean, to get really to get 9 from those two is that can't happen that often. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean that's Johnny got just 2.2 from his miles on Thursday night as well. So he must have been out on the weekend thinking I'm losing the wide receiver battle.
I mean,
he got knocked out.
But do you know? I mean,
again. I've got Jackson 2 points.
Michael has given away or traded away. He's traded away Derek Henry, DK Metcalf. Has he not? No. So Tony Pollard. Yeah. Tony Pollard. I mean, if he had kept them,
he
would not win that division. Be in the playoffs.
Well. Probably, but he's looking at
he would have won last week.
Next season. I mean, to be fair, Eskimo brothers were riding high for a long way in the season. They just kind of started falling off a cliff at the second half. But so you can see them looking for next year, at some point. But Johnny, so what, your team's coming to life a little bit now. Is that 2 wins in a row? Is your nose bleeding, Johnny?
Yeah. I know. I've not won outside the division. I've won 3 games in the division.
I have, so it's all in the division, is it? So, but listen, they're coming. You're starting to find winning form at the right time.
I've done the double.
Are we going to be tempted?
I've done the double over Michael. I'll play Alan this week.
Play Alan now, so Alan to finish it off.
That's why I'm so far down on the same record.
Will we be seeing Deshaun Watson?
Not after last weekend. I'll just stick with Carl.
So no Deshaun Watson.
Probably not.
Carr's on form.
I'm not dropping him for somebody else to pick up and play against me.
I think Derek Carr's
Carl's
pretty
always getting over his
ropey,
early
didn't he?
interception and tossing the ball everywhere. Like, so I'm going to stick with Carl. Like, so.
Well, I mean, Carl's still got Adams, doesn't he? As long as he's got him, that's that's some. If he's still got Carl, then if he's still got Adams, rather, that's always handy. He's always going to target him.
I think he's got a decent D against a decent D.
Murray's like the number one running back. I lost Harris again. Hopefully he'll be back this week, but I'm not sure Murray. So yeah, we're back.
But yeah, it's looking better for you, Johnny, as you head to the playoffs.
Probably got beat. Hopefully, well, Johnson's getting the targets. He's actually caught some balls, but he's got to finally get a bloody touchdown at some point. So, just have to worry about Miles and see what happens to him.
Good keeper, that.
Yeah, well, Miles is that boomer bust again, isn't he? I mean, he really either he just kicks off or he does absolutely nothing and nothing.
If he ends up going off in the final game for the number one spot, Sean, I'll be quite happy. If Johnson only played one game and it happened to be in the final for the number one spot, then I'll be quite happy because I'll get 3 of them. So yeah, but no, it's 2 wins in a row. It's the best record of the season. So
best
that's
record
enough
of the
talking about
season.
me. We'll go to the division champions next.
So the division champions, Eskimo Brothers, finally put it to bed, Sean. Well done, sir. Well done, Sean. Getting a wee skirt into the playoffs. But do you know what? Of all the playoff teams,
Is he the one that you don't fear?
Who's their back?
The only one.
Far from it. I fear them. I fear
everyone. Be in a bit of trouble
if
Mixon's back, though. Yeah.
I say that, but I mean, he's got Allen there. He's got his Mixons there. He's got Boyd who can kick
You've already
off.
said you don't fear him.
He lives and dies by his 49ers is the problem I see for Sean. It's Samuel and Kittle, and the two of them are just too quiet too often.
What are the bench options like there as well? I mean, yeah.
I mean, he's been unlucky because he has lost a couple of players. I know he's only got Edmonds on reserve, but I'm sure he's lost others that he's kicked. And of course, he's got Hollywood coming back in now. He needs to bring Hollywood in.
Hopkins back.
He's got Hopkins and Hollywood. He'll be hoping Arizona have got a tidy few games.
Yeah. That's a lot of Arizona.
Yeah, that roster can win playoff match.
Yeah, it can. I mean, there's none that's any given Sunday, man. It's a very scoreable roster.
Pirine could be the best running back in Cincinnati.
He always has in the last few weeks of the season.
But then Mixon will probably get the start again when he's back.
Of course he will. Because he's mixing. The same as Herbert's best runner, the number one running back in Chicago as well. It's same, just about the same thing. But anyway, it's a good team and it's in the playoffs. And I don't fancy running into it much. And then you have Allen on the other side, so he's obviously heading to the consolations. But
I mean, there's some interest. I mean, if Walker is out for Seattle and Dallas all of a sudden becomes valuable, Diggs is obviously pretty great. Campbell, I mean, the Colts are absolutely mad, but he's got
Kyler Murray on the bench.
Yeah, I mean.
He's certainly the thing about the Campbells came on this the second half of the season. I mean, he was a joke.
Foreman will be playing again. We've got Murray back. So, yeah.
I mean, Judy as well. He's not a terrible receiver, I suppose. Instead of McKenzie,
Hunter Henry's always a touchdown threat.
Just a quarterback.
Is Foreman still the is Foreman still the Carolina?
Not so much this year, but he's still the number one running back. Yeah.
So there's a few players
but he's been running well.
So
Yeah, I mean, going into consolations, he's got Murray coming back from bye as well.
Is Scheme Team not a team you'd want to face if you were in the consolation playoffs, Craig?
No, I wouldn't. I would really not like to face Scheme Team in the consolations. No, if I was in the consolations, my team would be worse than that.
Want to play anybody, Craig? Is that it?
It's very much. Is this a winner finishes third in the division? It is. So you'll know what you'll want to beat Alan, Johnny. That's Alan goes way back. Alan was part of the originals. In fact, were you not playing fantasy NFL with Alan before?
Well, we're both on the.
You'll not be wanting to lose to him.
He certainly was. But I've got a lot worse.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was it. It's a little bit. For me, it's a little bit disappointing. We're heading into week 14, and everyone's playing for playoffs. We've got a couple of divisions to play for, but the playoff places are set in stone. They're done. No one can get in, and no one can drop out. It's just a wee bit disappointing, I find.
I think there's still quite a lot to play for, though. So I sort of think, if anything, I guess there's no sort of definite jeopardy, I suppose. But I think it's nicely poised, actually. I
mean, it's at least we all know where we're going, and we all know what we're preparing for now. And there's a couple of divisions up for grabs, so I mean, it's still a big week. But
I'd like to be a change.
Where you got? Oh yeah, you've got you want to get rid of. You want to get away from Graham. Graham's one of the stronger teams in the consolations.
Yes. Well,
and
so
Michael's won the watch.
I want Grote.
Michael's won the watch.
Quite nice to get Grote in the final game. If I'm going to get far.
It's
Michael's won the watch at the moment.
It's, I mean, that could go either. That could go anyway as well, And that's the thing. A lot of these teams have got a lot of draft picks for next year. So, the way this season's gone, it would not be a surprise for the consolations and the actual playoffs to flip next year.
I think it's really, really interesting. I think it is really interesting, though. I think I said this previously in that sort of how sort of the league seems to be going in two very different directions. It's sort of like either all in or all out, and it's. I think that I don't expect to be sort of near the top next season. I can't imagine there'll be a few other teams who will be as well.
You find a way, Sean. You always do.
Yeah, but you're willing to your away to these nice little players and given. When you finish your draft, you feel like you've been shafted. Like you go on your trade thing, and I've scored this one, and you walk out, you go, bloody hell, how did you give away all that? That's
well, I try and make
your wallet.
No, I know.
Problem, like, you know what I mean?
But the only thing I will say is you've never given away as much.
I've only got one sixth round pick in the first half of the draft. You've got
one sixth round pick, yeah. So you'll find it hard. Yeah.
No, that being said, right,
so.
And I'm not, and I certainly don't think I'm going to win next year. But if you look at some of the picks, I think I had Jamal Williams in the 8th or the 9th round this year. I've had a couple of decent players picked up late. So I just need all of you guys to just ignore a bunch of players who. Sorry.
Well, I think last year I had two keepers, the 3rd round pick, and I didn't have a pick until the 8th. Then I picked up Burrow and Tua just to make sure I got a quarterback. So it's just.
I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's very doable. You could get the first round pick. You could have all the picks in the world. And I mean, look at Graham 2 years ago. He picked Gus Edwards, and before he had all the picks, he picked Edwards in like the 3rd round, and before the draft was even finished, the guy was out for the season.
I think he was out for the season in the 5th round, like. I think we'd only got about 2 rounds when we heard he was out, because it was like,
that shit happens, It's yes, the picks are obviously helpful, and yes, it helps you build a team at playoff at the draft time. But anything can happen, and so many injuries happen in this day and age that.
Well, I think that's why it's important to have those high picks, because it's not necessarily about. It's not necessarily about just who you pick. It's more about the sort of level of depth. I mean, I think that it can be easy to sort of like pick the wrong person, but at least to have the options means that if you have them, it means someone else doesn't. So that's always good.
It's literally why I went and spent $77 on Michael Gallup last week. I seen him sitting in agency, and I thought someone's going to pick him up. And if I run into him and he has a big week, which is entirely possible, Gallup will never see my first team. I think that's pretty much set in stone. I've got Olav and blooming Watson on my bench. I don't think Gallup will ever see the first team. But I didn't want him on anyone else.
The first time they scored. It's the first time they scored multiple touchdowns for quite a long time. Like,
I mean, but he's coming back, and he is coming back, and he's getting better as the weeks go on.
It's about 4 years of that. It was the last time he scored like 2 touchdowns in a game. So yeah,
I am
that was
more
a
than
mental
happy
game.
to
That
have.
one.
I am more than happy to have Gallup on my bench, I tell you, and not against me.
Sean was probably quite happy at the start of the fourth quarter when they should have challenged that interception. If they got that might have been a bit different. But then after that, what the?
Yeah.
It's like,
I think the Colts have significant other problems. Yeah, they have a lot of problems.
But again, there was for the first 3 quarters, they were looking no bad. But yeah, after that, it's just like, oh god.
It's okay though, because Santa Claus Saturday's here to save the day.
Hey, he's probably done better than Hackett.
Yeah, he still probably has. Yeah,
maybe he's went to the school of the time management as Hackett has.
Well, I mean, maybe we should add an extra prize to this year's sort of, for this year's winner. You get a chance to run one of the. You get a chance to run one of the Colts or the Broncos. I mean, you can't do any worse than what's already there, can you?
That should be the booby prize. Never mind the winner.
To be fair to Hackett, he got sold up a river because he was convinced Rodgers was going with him, and when he didn't, they panicked and went and signed the next big one that they could find, and it just so happens that they signed a big one.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on the Colts to release him so that Shanahan can pick him up. Knows the system.
Oh, he doesn't have to throw. Yeah, he does have to throw like 5-yard passes. You should be okay there. Like, he's not got the arm to throw any further.
Well, that's all we need.
Not sure the Colts will fancy eating. Yeah, not sure the Colts will fancy eating sort of $31 million worth of dead cap money for to see him win a Super Bowl somewhere else. Yeah. However, talking of Super Bowls, so we've got sort of as Craig mentioned, six former titles, but between us and Craig's obviously got none. So sorry, I had to get it in. I had to. But so who do you actually think is going to win this year?
I think it's a coin toss between 6 teams. I don't think Alan can win, and I don't think Sean can win that are in the playoffs.
A coin toss between 6 teams.
What sort of coins do you have?
A coin toss between 6 teams. What?
How long?
A roll of the dice would make sense.
A roll of the dice.
Yes.
No offense to the 3 of you boys are here. I think it's probably between Blue Toon Patriots and Graham. My prediction a few weeks ago to win it.
I mean, it could be. It could
go. We did say that a few weeks ago, Johnny.
Yeah.
I
do bit, still think still there. So
for all I'm teasing,
he's the only one that didn't trade like mad though. Because after I made that prediction, everybody went trade bloody crazy apart from Graham.
Craig was the pre-season favourite this year. Yeah, it's his year. It's Craig's year.
It's one of those ones where if I start the right players, but if anyone starts the right players, I'm inevitably going to leave points on my bench. But everybody is. It's all about starting the right players in the right week, and whoever does that the best is going to win it. It's as simple as that. Because everyone's got a strong team, and everyone's got players on their bench that will score.
I'm still fuming with the Minnesota defense in the final in year 2 when I played bloody Arizona with minus points instead of playing Minnesota scoring 30 points against Green Bay, and I would have beaten Sean.
Well,
that was fucking sore on that one. Like
Mahomes and Kelsey have got Houston's.
And it goes to show you every position's
Mahomes
important.
And Kelsey have got Houston, Seattle, Denver.
Well, Denver.
Who have?
Mahomes and Kelsey have got Houston. They've got Seattle and Denver at home in the fantasy playoffs. If Mahomes and Kelsey get going,
That's you every chance.
Denver's a funny defense, but yeah.
And Pacheco.
Well,
and Pacheco. And I've got Butker as well. I'm all about the Chiefs.
There's only one of the teams in contention that hasn't completely sold next season down the river. Let's just leave it at that.
Who's that, Graham?
Well, that would be me.
Graham.
I've given away nothing but a third.
I mean, nothing.
It's
But,
great.
yeah,
but Graham and Joe have given away nothing.
Yeah, they've given away nothing.
Okay, Graham and Joe then.
They've had no trades, I think.
Okay, only one person here who is in contention has not sold this season down the river.
What have I given up?
Well, I've not sold it down the river. I've sold this season down the river.
Who is in contention?
Oh, there you go then.
But you've given up more than you've given up a few. You've traded a few times.
I've got my third and I've got my fourth. You've given up a third.
Well, you had a third. You had two thirds.
And I've still got one.
But you gave one. Yeah, you gave one away to get Mahomes, which is good enough.
6 teams in contention. 2 could throw in shocks. You never know. And consolation's absolutely wide open. Could go anyway. I think that's about.
There's a comment from Gary for you, Craig.
What's that? With the D&D coins. Well, thanks, Gary. Love it. Here's Gary, pal. Yes, it's D&D coins. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Right, stick yous with your can you do 6-man toss.
Oh, poor Craig.
Right, with that, I think it's time to abode a good farewell. Good luck, everyone,
until the playoffs.
Week 14, whatever you're playing for, and this time next week
we'll
have all the results and all the answers.
Yes. See you guys.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Good luck, everyone.
It's been fun.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.